Namaskar. Welcome to Prakash on Basics. I'm Prakash Zoom, and we've been talking of Indian philosophy. There's a different aspect to it today. Some great contributors to Sanatana Dharma and to the philosophy also are relatively less known. I spoke about Kumaril Bhatt uh, last year, or I think slightly prior to that. I'll talk of the great Dwaita philosopher, the great Madhwaachaarya today. Uh, After Advaita and Vishishtadvaita Vedanta came the Dvaita Vedanta, that is the dualism aspect in Vedanta. This was nearly 400 years after Shankaracharya. In between, of course, was Ramanujacharya of Vishishtadvaita. By this time, the Bhagavad Dharma and Vaishnavism had taken a very strong foothold not only in North India but also in the south part of this great nation. Uh, Madhwacharya was the primary and principal proponent of the Dvaita Mata, that is, the dualism philosophy of Vedanta. Uh, it's Madhwacharya and not Madhvacharya, as many people wrongly pronounce. Um, Obviously, this Dvaita philosophy is a part of Uttar Mimamsa. Uh, Today, I'll talk of Madhvacharya and his life. And next time, I'll go into the basics and a slight set of details about Dvaitavad, that is, the dual philosophy, which is a part of Vedanta. Madhvacharya was born in Pajaka, a place around 10-12 kilometers from Udupi, which is in the state of Karnataka in South India. Madhyageha and Vedavati were his father and mother, who were devout, uh, devout Vaishnavas. They were from the Tulu Brahman community. Uh, his time period is said to be between 1200 AD to 1280 AD. But according to some records, they talk of 1238 to 1317 AD, uh, around 80 years. And in the 13th century is good enough for our records just now. Um, One of his disciples was Narayan Panditacharya. He has written a detailed biography known as Sri Madhva Vijay. It is this that is often used to talk about Madhvacharya. Uh, he was born on an auspicious day of Vijaya Dashami and was named Vasudev, which is one of the Vishnu's 24 names. He was born with 32 auspicious signs. The term used is usually Battis Lakshani, having 32 auspicious. That's the maximum number that is uh, possible. Uh, he was also said to be an incarnation or an avatar of Vayu, the wind god. His predecessing avatars were obviously equally popular. Hanumant, that is Lord Hanuman, and Bhimsen of Mahabharata. They were also linked to Vayu or his offsprings, so to say. Naturally, he had immense strength and extraordinary intellect. His amazing feats of strength and intellect are still recounted and talked of by people who know about him. At a very early stage, he not only mastered all Vedic scriptures, that is Shruti, Smruti, but also all the Puranas, Ramayana and Mahabharata. Not only that, but music and science as it was known at that time. Somebody later on asked him as to how he could master all that at such an early age. He said, I have acquired it in my previous life. His guru was Achyuta Prekshacharya. He was an Ekadandi sannyasi of the Advaita following. Because Advaitism, that is non-dualism, monoism at that time, of Shankaracharya was the most popular branch of Vedanta that was practiced all around. And all scholars usually were from that branch. Um, when his guru found that he knew practically everything that was to be taught, uh, he was given sannyas. And he acquired sannyas at an early age of 10 years. And the guru named him Ananda Tirtha, which is quite typical to give a separate name, to give up everything else that is there in your previous connection with the society and acquire a new name. Uh, but later on, people, the society, others gave him a number of other names, and they are all associated with his abilities and qualities. Purna Prajna is one of the most popular ones. Uh, he possessed highly analytical, logical intellect, uh, and immense physical strength. So many of these names were accordingly talked of. He was known as Purna Prajna, that means having all uh, intellect. Purna Bodh, that means he knew everything. Sarvajna, so possessor of knowledge of everything. Dashapramiti, and of course his original given name of Ananda Tirtha. In time, he did not accept the teachings of his guru. He had his own interpretation of the scriptures. So finally, he put forth his own philosophy, and the Advaitavad, which is the Dwaitavad, which is a different branch of Vedanta now. Uh, he himself at that time and later on referred to it as Tattvavad. That is a branch of realistic views, is Tattva, is what it comes to finally. Mm, Since he didn't get along with his teacher, he decided he would travel and learn a lot more. So he traveled extensively throughout Bharat, Dwarka, Badrinath, Varanasi, parts of Bengal, right up to down up to Kanyakumari is where he traveled, and not once but a multiple number of times. During all these travels, he preached and gave discourses on his concepts of interpretations of the various scriptures. He explicitly and efficiently explained in detail the true essence of the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Gita, the Ramayana, and Mahabharata, which were originally put forward by Veda Vyasa. And that's not all. During his journeys, he also collected a lot of books and writings of other scholars, and he brought all that literary material back to Udupi. It was obvious that there would be others who did not agree with him, right, during his travels also, and he defeated all the scholars who opposed him in debates. Many of them, of course, became his ardent followers after that. Uh, he made multiple trips, uh, and the most important ones of them were uh, places like Uttar Badri, where he is believed to have met Vedavyasa himself. Mm, With his blessings and consent, uh, he wrote 37 texts, which were, of course, put down and penned down by one of his shishyas or students who was all disciples who was always along with him. And collectively, these books are known as Sarva Moola Granth, comprehensive texts of all fundamental maxims, rules of conduct. everything that is there. Sarva Mula means every, the foundation of everything. That's what it finally boils down to. Um, he wrote Gita Bhashya at the age of 20, just like Jnaneshwar had written Jnaneshwari in his early age. Uh, he wrote commentaries on Rigveda's first 40 suktas. Uh, he also wrote many other texts which seem to occasionally have some ideas or influences from other philosophies that were ancient and though still very well known, like the Nyaya Darshan. Uh, his works include Anuvyakhan, that is his writings on the Brahma Sutra, the Rigveda Bhashya, the Gita Bhashya. These are all commentaries. Then he wrote Gita Tatparya Nirnay on the Bhagavad Gita itself. He wrote Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnay. He wrote the Bhagavad Tatparya Nirnay. That Tatparya means the final conclusion, and and Nirnay finally means the final decision that has been made. So these were all the final interpretations that he felt that people should know and understand about all these great works that were already present and were originally presented by the great sage Vedavyasa. Since the commentaries that I listed out cover the Prasthanatraya, that is the Brahma Sutra, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Upanishads, uh, by the very definition of the word, he became what is known as Acharya. That is why Madhwaachaarya, just like Shankaracharya and Ramanujacharya, a teacher and a thinker of the highest order. Nowadays, there are so many who have done, who are not qualified to be acharyas because their contributions to all the three of them, three texts, the Prasthantraya is not all that noticeable to anybody. Uh, Around 1285 is the date that is sometimes talked of, but we could anticipate around that span. He he received or came in possession of due to it's a big long story. I'm not going to go into detail of that of Lord Krishna from Dwarka, and this he brought back to Udupi and established the Krishna Matha at Udupi itself. A matha is not a temple, but it is more like a study center, which uh, a residential school that teaches and propagates knowledge to students of not only the scriptures but also of a particular philosophy that is being preached in that particular area. In all, he established, other than this Krishna Math, around eight mathas all around the central area of Udupi. And these are still active and still do a lot of teachings of the Sanatana Dharma and of Vedanta, and obviously of the Dwaita philosophy. Uh, he is believed to have performed many miracles in his lifespan, which are listed out in his biography. These include things like, I'm just telling you what they are. Um, these are converting tamarind seeds into gold coins to take care of the debt that his father had. Since he was a very strong person, he defeated most of the wrestlers who tried to challenge his powers. He's supposed to have lifted huge boulders to make way and path across rivers. Um, when challenged and doubted, he's believed to have consumed exorbitant amount of food and digested it immediately to prove his ability to use his Jatharagni, that is the consuming fire within his stomach. He's said to have walked on water and many other things. Uh, but let's keep that part aside and talk of other things also. He is believed to have met Veda Vyasa, and with his blessings, he is said to have written all the literary works later on in life. And so he is known as Abhinava Veda Vyasa. That is the new incarnation or the new form of Veda Vyasa himself. According to Madhwaachaarya, every scripture that has been passed down by Veda Vyasa, every rucha, every shloka, has multiple interpretations. And many of times they are misinterpreted. And that is why there is so much of confusion among people as to what is really being taught and expected to be learned from these great scriptures, the Vedas. Mm. Obviously, he also clarified all this during his discourses among his students and other people. He also performed yajnas at Udupi. What about other social aspects? He's said to have stopped all animal sacrifices in yajnas. He opposed and prevented and stopped the Devadasi uh, process that was carried out in many other parts. This is offering a young girl as a consort to the lord of that particular temple, and then she used to get exploited by so many other people later on. So to prevent all that, he totally opposed the Devadasi concept. This is could be talked of as his social commitments towards people. But there is something more important. Uh, he was a major philosopher who preached and took part in the Bhakti movement, and one of the earlier ones, obviously. Um, Bhakti movement spread throughout India, north, south, with a lot of saints following this process because it was the simplest, it was believed to be the simplest method uh, to achieve your final objective, either mukti or meeting the Lord Himself. I'll just remind you of my two or three lectures on bhakti itself in the earlier stage. This bhakti movement is by great saints like Mirabai and Sant Tukaram and many others from the north as well as the Alwars, etc., from the south. Um, but among them, it was preached as a philosophy itself, as a part of the teachings in Gita and other areas by Madhwacharya. Others, of course, wrote poems and hymns, etc. Mm. Many of his ideas are radically different from what the Advaita philosophy talks of. I'll go into more details next time, but I'll just remind you what he has talked of. He talks that Brahma, Jeev, and Jagat are all different. This is the core of his philosophy. He put forward the method of identifying the differences between them into what is known as the Panchabheda method. Uh, some of his ideas seem to be influenced by other people and other darshans also, as I mentioned previously. Uh, he interpreted Brahma more as a personal god, Vishnu, uh, with gunas. So it's not nirguna form of the great Brahma, but the saguna form of Ishvara as Vishnu himself, with all possible gunas. He was a realist, so obviously, therefore, he did not believe in Maya. Uh, he said, "World is real. We can verify it, and bhakti is the true way of achieving everything, finally reaching God Himself." He lived for a very long time span at that time. 79 years is a big lifespan in which he achieved a lot of things. He preached and converted a lot of people into his bhakti movement and brought them to the path of understanding what the scriptures really were. Like Shankaracharya, Madhwacharya too made his final pilgrimage to Badrinath. Uh, it's said to be Uttar Badri, a part further out beyond the original Badrinath place itself. Some say that he continued his studies with Vedavyasa after that. Nobody knows about the details. I wonder actually, uh, just beyond Badrinath, I remember there is a place called Mana, uh, from where the Pandavas are said to have trekked their way to heaven. Maybe these two great sages, Shankaracharya and Madhvacharya, must have followed the same path later on in life. Madhvacharya was revered as a Jagat Guru, a teacher of the whole universe. Uh, Madhvacharya was an embodiment of everything that is good, that is great, that is grand, and that is graceful. This is a person whose life and his achievements and his works need to be understood by a lot of people. If you have liked whatever I have talked of, please like and subscribe to this channel. Uh, See if you can get some more information on Madhvacharya and his life form, life career. Uh, Next time, I'll explain the basics of what his Dwaita philosophy itself is and how effective it really is. Till we meet then for for Dwaita philosophy. This is Prakash saying Namaskar.